Hey guys, another sci-fi guy here, and we're continuing our reviews of Babylon 5. Today we're looking at Season 1, Episode 4, Infection. I really like this one. This is a good one, Season 1 cover. I like this one for several reasons, and I'm going to start off by saying I like a couple of the guest actors in it. One, we have David McCullough. I like David McCullough as an actor. For the younger people watching, they may recognize him as Ducky from NCIS. But several of us know him for probably his most famous role he played in the television series The Man from U.N.C.L.E. opposite Robert Vaughn. And I really like that he guest starred in an episode of The A-Team in its final season, which had Robert Vaughn in it. So they also got to reunite for that. And he plays a former teacher of Dr. Franklin's. And he comes back and he discovered some organic artifacts on a planet that has a dead civilization. Well, I can't enunciate today. A dead civilization. And apparently all that's left are ruins and these artifacts. And he wants Franklin's help with them because Franklin's good at organics and all of that. And we also meet David McCullough's character's assistant. And I like the assistant because he's played by Marshall Teague. Marshall Teague actually shows up in Babylon 5 a lot. He usually plays alien characters. We see him in several episodes as a Narn, and then we also see him in several episodes as a Drazi. Just right off the top of my head, I recognize his name in the credits. It's very seldom we get to see him. This is probably the only time I can think of right off the top of my head we see him without any makeup for at least part of the episode. So it's kind of nice just to see him in a role, to kind of see what he really looks like. We don't get to see that a lot. It's kind of like Wayne Alexander. We only get one episode with him without his makeup. So I enjoyed that, and I like both of the actors. Anyway, David McCullough's assistant, Teague's character. We see him at the beginning kill the security guard because he's trying to smuggle in the organics because they're supposed to be held in quarantine for 48 hours. They're trying to sneak them past. So he ends up having to kill the security guard, but he does it with a device that makes it look like a heart attack. But at one point, one of the artifacts hits Teague's character, the assistant, with a blast. And slowly, it kind of causes him to get disoriented. And we notice it kind of takes him over to the point where he grabs one of the artifacts and puts it in his chest. And kind of assimilates him, uses him as a host. And then we find out that the armor was originally made because the planet at one time, Ikara, I think was the name of it, and the Ikarans were a race that were constantly getting invaded every few years, and they would always get damaged really bad. So they built this armor with an artificial intelligence that had the personality matrices of one of the creators built into it to stop the invaders. And even though the world is now dead and all of the Ikarans are dead, the armor still is around and works. And it's still doing its mission to protect Ikara and destroy all the non-Ikarans. And it's interesting because it doesn't just change into this monster-type armor immediately. It's a gradual process. The creature's slowly getting stronger and slowly morphing from Teague's assistant into the creature with all the armor on it. So it's nice to see that done in stages. I really like this episode also because the way the resolution of it's done. It's not done by force. There's some great fight scenes in it, and I like that. But I really like the way the situation is resolved. One, I like the fact that we find out exactly why Ikara is a dead world and what happened to the Ikarans, and that's a really neat resolution. I don't want to touch on it too much, but I love things in science fiction when people try to play God, or sometimes when their own devices get away from them. The Fly is a good example. I absolutely adore The Fly. The original and the remake, but especially the remake. I actually have it somewhere over here. Ah, there it is. Yeah, my remake of The Fly down there with Jeff Goldblum. I love that movie. It shows what happens when you try to play God, when you're like Icarus and you try to fly too close to the sun. Frankenstein, another good example. I love things like that. Davros in Genesis of the Daleks is another good example. So I really like the way that resolves out. And then I also like the way Sinclair stops the situation, that he doesn't do it with fighting, he does it with words, and the words involved are ultimately what stops it. And I enjoy that. It's a good episode. I don't have a lot to say about it. It's pretty straightforward. There's not as much going on in it as there are in some episodes. There's still a lot of action. Finding out just how involved David McCullough's character, is with everything. I mean, does he not know what his assistant's doing, or is he the one running it? Finding out kind of if he's as good as, because you're not quite sure how much he knows about what's going on, so kind of seeing how that plays out is really nice. Plus, it gives us a good episode to really kind of find out that Dr. Franklin is a workaholic. He takes his job as a doctor very seriously, and that kind of plays into later in the series. And so it's kind of nice to see evidence of that here. It's a really good episode, though. It's one I really enjoy, because it's very straightforward, which a lot of them are not. But it's still really good. This was an episode I was looking forward to seeing again, and I enjoyed it just as much as I always do. So that's basically it. It's a good episode. I advise watching it. Some good action in it. Some good intellectual pieces in it too. So I'm another sci-fi guy. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Was the review good? Was it a waste of your time? Did I manage not to say 50 times in this one? I'm hoping so. Also, check out my other channel, Prowl1701, PROWL1701, where I do high-end Star Wars lightsaber hilt reviews. They're pretty awesome. Click the like button, click the subscribe button, do all those wonderful things, and most importantly, thank you for watching.